Hey everyone, this is an exciting day. It is launch day for Studio One Pro version 7. And you may have noticed something, that there's no longer a Prime or Artist version. We are now all under one banner, Studio One Pro. Version 7 consolidates everything. There are no more barriers to entry. The only barrier is having the software. But there's a lot of updated features that come with this massive update. So let's stop talking about it and let's dive straight into some of my top picks for the new features inside Studio One Pro version 7. Let's dive into the DAW. Okay, so here we are inside of a session. I threw this together not that long ago using the first thing that we're going to go over. Number one, brand new VST instrument, Deep Flight One. I'm going to go right here and I'm just going to show you what it looks like, because here it is. Now, if you've used Studio One in the relatively recent past, you may have heard of Deep Flight One as a sample pack that Presonus had available. Well, instead of samples, now it's its own standalone VST player. And the cool thing about this VST instrument is the kind of layering and blending that you can do to get very unique sounding textures, because this is exactly that. It's a texture machine. There is depth, width, and all kinds of crazy sounds. Here's a little segment of something I wrote only using one stock drum loop inside Studio One and Deep Flight One. So Deep Flight One created almost everything you heard just there. I'll tell you exactly what was not from Deep Flight One. The drums, the reverse cymbals, and that bass line that hit right at the drop, we'll call it, and the little trinkly bits. Everything else was generated from Deep Flight One. Like I said, lots of choirs, lots of pads, lots of depth, width, textures. And the cool thing is, you can see right in the middle is this upside down Triforce kind of triangle. Triforce is for my Zelda fans out there. You understand, it's this center section here, and the highlighted triangle allows us to then blend between the three different sound generators that we can stack in, and we can automate this to have it blend through a number of different textures. Let's do something so you can hear me moving through those textures. I'm going to go back to the beginning, and I'm just holding one note here for the low drone sound. But listen, because as I hit play, I'm just going to mess around and blend between the different generators so you can hear how we can manipulate this. Check it out. You could hear I was kind of playing with the sounds, and once the tones came in and gave me a sense of rhythm, I started going into what seemed like thunder sounds or from something very distant, but I wanted it to kind of come in. So being able to manipulate through the different engines, this is huge. All right, now let's move on to new feature number 2, because with the new VST and with generating music, sometimes you'll have a part and you're like, man, I want this part to just continue on for a little while. And what the easiest thing to do in the past was to duplicate it. So I have my drums right here, like this event right here. And you know what? I'm just going to get rid of this one, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that one. We know that our drums are supposed to start here at the drum pre, and I can take this loop and just go to the bottom right. And now look at my tool. It just changed. And as I click and drag, I am now looping that 1 or 2 bar drum beat that I have, and I can pull this however long I need, and it is just using that event and looping it. All right, I brought us back to where we originally started. But the cool thing about how Studio One version 7 now treats events as loops leads us into our next huge feature. Number 3 is the launcher. If you come up on top, you'll see this 3x3 grid, and I'm going to click on it. This is the launcher. Now you may be thinking, what the heck is the launcher? Or this may look similar to other programs out there. This is great for trying out different arrangements, trying different parts together, because what we can do is populate the different scenes. That's what we have across top. So they're different sections of the song. Think of it like arrangements. Scene 1, scene 2, different sections. And you can see that there's the equal number of cells or tracks as the number of tracks we have, because we can just pull different elements from our arranger into our launcher. Now, here's the cool thing. I'm going to show you really fast. Here's the very beginning of our song again. Okay, so I just hit it from there. We heard it before. And now I'm going to jump ahead over to this one called Scene 5, where it's got a big stack of a lot of different things. Okay, now watch what we can do. We've already populated it, but I want to try something out. So I'm going to use this button on the top left to just throw everything back onto the timeline. And you can use this to go back and forth, or honestly, just clicking in the scenes just automatically dumps it over. And if I come to the arranger and hit play, it just plays. So don't worry about having to go back and forth. But I want to try some things. So watch this. I'm going to grab my drums and I'm going to bring this over into scene 8. And I want just my drums. I want my bass. So I'm going to pull this over and drop it right into scene 8. And I want to try maybe this little synth that I grabbed. So I'm going to pull this over and I'm going to drop it into its cell. And I'm going to hit scene 8 right now to try a brand new arrangement. That's not a part that I have in my song, but I can skip around and jump around and try different things. Maybe I have a bunch of different loops and I want to try different drums over different sections that just need a little spicing up. I can do any one of these cells from the top track with any one of the cells from the second track, and you can mix and match through everything. So I want using loop and having them do exactly that, because they were looping. I've now built a new section of the song. I like my bass, I like the choirs, my drum loop, and that droney sound from the very beginning. Layering these can be a nice little break within our song. So this is the launcher. I'm just going over the surface level things of it. This thing is awesome. It's huge. If you want more or a deeper dive, let me know in the comments. Okay, so that's the launcher, and that's huge. But let's talk about another massive integration that we should talk about, and that's in the browser. If I open up the browser, you'll now notice up on top is Splice. That's right, the third-party service Splice is integrated directly into Studio One. This is an optional thing that you guys can choose. It's very similar to the SoundCloud integration. You don't have to use it, but it's there for your convenience. So check this out. I'm going to show you how fast and easy it is to use Splice and find samples for your songs, whether it be loops, one-shots, or whatever you need. Ready? This is probably the coolest feature. I'm going to select everything here, because I know at bar 39, this is where everything kind of builds up and where I want everything to be. So I'm going to take all of my events that happen at bar 39, and I'm okay with this crossover, but check this out. I'm going to drag it into Search with Sound. It'll do a fast bounce and then submit it to Splice, and I'm going to get returned with curated suggestions of things that I can drag and drop into my session, download instantly, and be able to just continue on. Check this out. The bounce is done. Now it's processing. Here's our reference, and here's a curated list of samples that we can drag into our session. Let's just double check. Here's our reference. Cool. So all of that is what Splice is going to try to suggest towards. So let's just start listening to some of the suggestions. I have my monitors really loud, and that hurt. Okay, so I have it set to loop, but I already like these pads. Maybe I want to refine a little and see if I can only find, let's go into instruments and we'll do some kind of pad, but we'll also do vocals because I think that's going to be really fun too. So let's just find any kind of vocal sample to throw in here. Right there, this, I love it. It says it's for hip hop, but it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna drag it into my session right on bar 39. Instantly downloading, instantly at the tempo of the song, in the key of your song. As you drag it in, this gets implemented into the sample. Take a listen. Talk about fast and easy production. You can just go in and grab whatever sample you need and drag it into your session. Now let's take drag and drop and everything about Splice and bring it up an additional notch. Maybe you're a beat maker, and I'm going to shout out the artist Trinity. They showed this at the Studio One launch event last week, and it was so cool. I wanted to make sure that you guys saw this. I'm going to go to this track right here, which is Impact. And we all know Impact. This is the Studio One drum sampler. But watch this. Let's just clear this out because I don't want that kick drum, but I need something. So I'm gonna go back into Splice and I'm just gonna go home and I'm gonna go kick. I need some kind of really awesome kick sample. I'm gonna build my kit using Splice samples to help augment our beat. And without even listening, I'm just gonna drag and drop this sample right in to Impact. Now I have a Splice sample in Impact immediately. And I can go ahead and go in from there. Now, of course, no drum kit is good without a sonare or snare if you type that correctly. So let's search that. And I'm just gonna scroll down. I want this one. I don't know what it is, but I want it. Drag and drop, downloaded into a pad on Impact. Cool. I love the amount of reverb that's in there, especially with all of the depth that we have going on in our arrangement. Okay, so let me show you another added feature, which is huge if you work in the piano roll very frequently, but you program your drum beats. You have a lot of windows going on now. Imagine we had the launcher open, and then we have the browser, and we have Impact, and we have the arranger, and we have our edit window open. There's a ton going on here. I need to really just focus and consolidate. Okay, launcher, gone. Browser, gone. Impact, I don't want it to be gone. I still want to be able to kind of click in my pattern, right? You could do that with the window gone. I'm going to close it. And down here, let's go back to our Impact track. We can now create a MIDI event. And check this out. The edit window has changed. Here's our MIDI, here's our kick, and our but let's hit this button right here and watch what happens. We now have Impact integrated directly into the edit window. So no more floating window. And this is everything that we had in the floating window. All of the controls are now integrated and built into an Impact pad directly in the editor. This is huge if you're trying to just play something in instead of having to have multiple windows open. It's right there. Just hit record, fill in the part that you need to redo, and then you're on your way. All right, I've jumped sessions real fast because I want to show you the last two gigantic things that I think are going to be real game changers, especially because you guys want them. First up, while we're in this new session, stem separation is now integrated directly into Studio One. Let me show you exactly how to do that. I'm going to click on the event in question. Here's a sample of it, and just so that you can hear, it's a full mix. There is keys, guitars, bass, drums, vocalists, multiple vocalists. Take a listen.
Disrespect, disrespect, disrespect. Popping pills and posting pics.
So you can see it's a full stereo mix. Now watch this. We're going to use the new shortcut of Command U. This will be Control U on a PC. And we have this brand new window, the stem separation window. And it allows you to consolidate or pick which things you want separated out. Vocals, drums, bass, and other. Other is exactly what you think. It's the melodic bits, keys, guitars, etc., etc. It will put them onto a single track, but that's okay. We are at the first level of integrated stem separation. So let's start with this and see how well it does. As a quick side note, if let's say I want to take the vocals out, I now can consolidate the remaining tracks to be just a brand new minus vocal stereo track, just by clicking here to consolidate. I'm not going to do that this time. I want full stem separation so you guys can see it in action. This is a 4.5 minute long song, and it's going to take maybe 30 seconds. Here we go. And that quickly, it has done a bunch of different things. First, our original stereo, it's just disabled it and put it into mute. So now we're not going to get this doubling of volume. You can always recover back if you need to. But we now have a folder track with all of our separated stems. Cool, nice and clean and convenient. But let's take a listen. I'm going to hit play, and this is the separated mix.
Disrespect, disrespect, disrespect.
Not bad, right? You're a vocalist. You want to do a cover of this song. Cool, I just muted the vocal bus. Sure, we're getting a little wishy-washy, but that's not bad at all. Listen to when we take the drums out.
Disrespect, disrespect, disrespect.
Not bad. Let's take the music out, but we'll leave the bass in. Maybe you're a guitar player and you want to work on soloing over something. This is a cool little idea to do that.
Disrespect, disrespect, disrespect.
So this is gigantic. All right. Let's use that same kind of example. You're a vocalist, but you want to do a cover of this. This song, oh man, it's a little too high for your register. Not anymore. In Studio One Pro version 7, we now have global transpose. Take your entire session and move it in halftones up or down. Semitones, halftones, half steps, whatever you want to call them. There's one thing you need to do when you're doing that. I have my track selected and I have my inspector open. Follow global transpose. I want to make sure that everything I need transposed has this on and activated. Let's go to the vocals too. Make sure that everything is on. Okay, to make these changes and to transpose, bottom right on your toolbar, near where the tempo is, you'll now see transpose. Right now it's at 0. That means there's no going higher or lower. But like we said in our example, this song's a little high. I want to bring it down half a step. Boom. I just use my mouse wheel to scroll down to -1. And now, take a listen.
Disrespect, disrespect, disrespect.
Cool. Let's do it again. -2.
Disrespect, disrespect.
Let's go the other way. Let's go +2.
Disrespect, disrespect, disrespect.
I've been in a bunch of sessions where it's been exactly this. Somebody writes a song and they hire someone to come in and perform on it. And it just doesn't suit them well. And they ask, hey, can we just bring this down a key? Can we change keys, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? If that's not an option and you can't get the bands back in, use global transpose to bring it down to a register where it's comfortable for them. And then here's a trick. Later on, put everything back to normal and just transpose their vocal to the original key. You could do that. That's one way to kind of get the feel in the key that they want, but then bring them into the key that you want for your song. You'll get a little bit of possible artifacting, but I wouldn't worry too much, especially if it's a scratch thing or you're just trying to get the idea out there. Mess around with it and see what you can do. Oh my goodness, guys. There is so much happening with this brand new version of Studio One Pro that I can't get into all of it, and I am just scratching the surface on the things I showed you today. If there is anything that you didn't see in this video or something you want me to go even further into, please let me know down in the comments. I'd be thrilled to make those videos for you. But this is a very exciting release for Studio One Pro version 7. I hope you guys enjoy some of the things we went over today and all of the new tools that are here and available to us. I'm just really excited. Happy mixing, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.